you definitely get out of your comfort zone. And then I think you really get to know yourself better. You really have to dig deep and find that, extra patience, extra strength. I was, for my English Channel swim, I was seasick for a long time. So you have to really dig deep to find the strength to continue.
Hello and a super special Happy New Year welcome to Head Right Out. Today is the 2nd of January 2021. My name is Zoe Langley-Wathen and I am thrilled that you're here to listen to another inspiring guest who absolutely understands what it means to head out of her comfort zone and knows how much her head is going to be kept right as a result. Her name is Abhejali Bernardová. Now, I've had time to practice her surname since speaking with her, and while I usually pride myself on being able to get pronunciations right pretty quickly, I didn't do so well at executing a seamless and authentic delivery of her name. She's certainly not the kind of woman, though, who would let that bother her. I think it would be more a case of water off a duck's back, considering her passion, which is swimming. I loved this conversation, finding so much more to connect with than just feeling inspired by an ultra swimmer and extreme ultra triathlete. Abhejali shares so much about her practice of meditation and how she believes this has been the key to transforming her experience of managing endurance in her sport. So enjoy the conversation, and I'll have an amazing Head Right Out moment to share with you at the end of the episode. Okay, welcome back to the Head Right Out podcast. I am really delighted today to be talking to an athlete, a fascinating woman, really, really interesting in what she has achieved. And her name is Abhejali Bernardová. She's a 44-year-old runner and open water swimmer, and most recently, a triathlete. She's a member of the Sri Chimnoy marathon team from the Czech Republic. She's the 10th person in history and the 4th woman and first swimmer from the Czech Republic and a landlocked country to complete the Ocean 7. As a runner, she has completed a 6-day run and she is a multiple national champion at 100 kilometers and 24 hours. She was nominated for the 2018 and 2019 World Open Water Swimming Woman of the Year. 10 years after her first English Channel swim, I'm just thinking there, first English Channel swim, Abhejali decided to do it again. And this time make it an extreme ultra-triathlon from Dover to Prague. This involved her covering a total of 1,111 kilometers across the 3 disciplines, 34 kilometers swimming, 895 kilometers cycling, and 182 kilometers running. It took her 7 days, 12 hours, and 5 minutes. And those 5 minutes, I'm sure, were really, really important to include in there. Every second counts. So for those of our listeners who work in miles, that's just over 690 miles. Welcome, Abhejali. Lovely to have you here, and I feel honoured to be talking to you today. What an amazing not an achievement. It is an achievement, but it's a repertoire. This is my evening brain coming in now.
Well, thank you so much for
amazing.
Having me and talking to you.
No, you are very welcome. I have a question. My very first question, Abhejali, is there a significance in that distance that you covered, the 1,111 kilometers? Was that chosen or did it just work out like that?
It was something in between. It worked almost like that. So then we added a few kilometers to make it this nice number. It seemed really, really nice.
Yes, from what I understand, it's a beautiful number. Would you like to enlighten us to what that means?
Oh, well, definitely numbers have different meanings, but I just love the idea of having this symbolic 4 number ones in the distance. I know it in miles, it doesn't look so good, but we work in kilometers, and yeah. I like that idea very much.
Yeah, me too. And isn't it something to do with if you keep seeing 1111, if it keeps presenting itself to you, isn't there the suggestion that it's supposed to be a guide or an angel or something that is a spirit, something that is I'm sending you messages or?
I'm not sure about that.
No.
I mean, definitely there could be something, but it wasn't what was really
no. Okay. I just that it struck me when I saw that. I thought, I'm absolutely certain there's a significance there. But
I'm sure there's some mystical
barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah.
So, Abhejali, for those who don't know, could you talk to us about what the Ocean 7 is? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people, a lot of our listeners that might be thinking, well, I've heard of that, but I don't really know what it entails.
So Ocean 7 is a challenge that involves 7 different channels around the world. And it's something similar to what mountain climbers have when they climb the highest mountain on every continent. So these are 7 swims. There is the English Channel. There is the North Channel, which is really, really cold. There is a swim in Hawaii. There is a swim in New Zealand, the Cook Strait. There is a swim in Japan, Tsugaru Strait. Wow. There is Gibraltar between Europe and Africa. And then there is one more, Catalina Channel in US. So those are the 7 swims. They have cold water. Hawaii is a little bit warm water, but there are different, animals living in the water. There are waves. You have to wait for good weather. So there are different challenges in each of the swims. And it was a great adventure, I have to say.
How long did it take you to complete that? From the time you started to the time you completed your 7th?
So it started with the English Channel in 2011. And at that time, I was a runner before that. And I actually started swimming again. I was a competitive swimmer as a child, but I started swimming again, just kind of by accident because I was supposed to help my friend who was to swim the English Channel. Then it started as a relay. And so somehow I happened to be in the water then to do a solo. And at the time I was like, okay, I've done this swim, and they called the English Channel like the Everest of the open water swimming. So I was like, okay, I can go back to my running. But then, there were other swims somehow coming my way, like the swim around Manhattan in New York. And I liked the idea of swimming between continents. So Gibraltar Strait, which is the shortest of the 7. And only then I heard about the Ocean 7. And then I heard that there are swims where there are sharks, and I heard that there is this very cold North Channel. So I was like, okay, that's not for me. It's a great idea, but definitely not for me. But then somehow, the motto of our Sri Chinmoy Marathon team is self-transcendent. So I guess, I have been meditating since I was 18 with Sri Chinmoy. And I guess this motto or this philosophy was already so kind of deep inside me, seated inside me, that I somehow, in the end, tried to do the whole 7 swims.
Oh, that is powerful. So did you find the meditation actually helped you through a lot of that, the tough stuff?
Oh yeah, definitely. It is said that, mental part in these challenges, and I'm sure, the listeners who do the adventures, they will know that mental part is, such a big part of every challenge. Someone says it's almost like 80% of the challenge. And I have been practicing meditation, 15 years before I did the English Channel. So I think I had this huge advantage before even starting to train cold water and long distance swimming, because I knew, that the mind has this a tendency of telling you, you can't do it. It's too cold. And what are you, why are you bothering yourself? So our mind has the tendency to discourage us and, look at the negative side of whatever we are doing. And if we know this, and by practicing meditation, you can kind of watch your mind from the outside and see what it is doing to you, then it's much easier, to not give up or even to accept the challenge. So I think It was like big help. And also the reason why I did all those swims was also to help me with my meditation practice, because when you're swimming in the English Channel and you're cold and you're tired, you definitely get out of your comfort zone. And then I think you really get to know yourself better. You really have to dig deep and find that, extra patience, extra strength. I was, for my English Channel swim, I was seasick for a long time. So you have to really dig deep to find the strength to continue. So I think it's like 2 feet. One of them is the meditation and the other is the sport. And it helps me, walk faster or learn more in my life.
That's really interesting. I correct me if I heard that wrong, but that was part of the reason that you took on the challenge, was to help you meditate better. And
Yes.
And in meditating better, you get to know yourself better.
Yes.
I think that's fascinating, because there's a lot of people that would think that it was the other way around, that you meditate in order to be able to get yourself through the challenge. But you've actually turned that totally on its head.
I think it goes both ways. That the challenge helps you with meditation, knowing yourself, but also definitely meditation helps you do these challenges. So I really love how it all connects together, but also it connects, like, whatever I learned during these swims or runs, it's, applicable to my daily life. Like all this, patience you learn how to overcome obstacles, how to be very flexible because things don't go, as planned. And it's like all of that can translate into my day-to-day life. And I just love that.
You sound very centered and very grounded. I love that. And so this is completely off on a tangent to what we were talking about, but I'm just interested to know, do you have a specific technique or thing that you use to focus on when you're meditating? Do you have like a candle or music, or I don't know, is there something that you use to kind of keep your mind in that focused state? Because I'm terrible at meditating, because my mind wanders all over the place, and I do go back to it from time to time, but I'm not great at it.
Well, I have a little meditation place at home, because it's like having a TV in your living room. Then it's like you have this atmosphere in the living room of being with your friends and with your family and watching TV. So I have this tiny meditation place that is kind of sacred for me. And I have a candle there. Then I have a photograph of my spiritual teacher. And if it's cold, I have a blanket to cover myself with. And sometimes I use music. Either, I listen to music, or I sing some mantras or some mantric songs. And especially when my mind starts roaming, it definitely helps to listen to music or to do some chanting. And I have one very simple exercise that I like to do before the challenge. And it's like, you can imagine, like when you swim the channel, the boat gets to the shore as close as possible, but then you have to swim to the shore, get out and, wave, okay, I'm ready. And then you start swimming. So before I wave that I'm ready, inside you, there is this mixture of feelings of, anticipation, like cheerfulness, you're ready, but at the same time there's some worries or some fear, because you don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of hours, or God knows how many hours. So I have this exercise when I breathe out all these worries and all these fears, and try to breathe in peace and calm, just very quickly. It's not that I would be meditating there for like 10 minutes. It can be just 1 minute, but it still helps to just get focused, get concentrated, and just be happy that you're there. And that's my favorite exercise. And I also do like little meditation before each of my practices, just to really get concentrated and, like, no, okay, I'm doing this pool training because I want to swim to France. So it's just not like some random, okay, I'm in the pool, what am I doing here? But that you're focused, and I like that.
It's having purpose, isn't it? And
yes,
making sure you have that purpose. Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, that probably links really well to a question I was going to ask you later, but it is how do you get yourself through that difficult stuff and the things, you've talked about the fears and the anxieties that you might have, or worries perhaps rather than anxieties, before you head off on a challenge. But as you're going through it, so, you're mid-channel, for example, you're, I don't know, maybe 11 hours in, and maybe your brain is so focused that this doesn't happen. But do you have setbacks in your head partway through?
Well, it depends on the conditions of the challenge. Like if it's really calm, the sea, and you're just like flowing in your state, and you're just happy and enjoying whatever is happening, then it's okay and doesn't happen. But most of the time it's not like that, because the conditions are not so good, and the mind just pops in from time to time, and like you register that the waves are still rolling over you, and you feel a little bit funny in your stomach. But then it's just like what I try to do, and sometimes I'm successful, sometimes I'm not, just to like be like the observer, like just see what is happening, but like don't dwell on what your mind is telling you, because the only thing you can do is just to keep swimming. If you start calculating how long it is going to take you, if you start feeling sorry for you, it's not helping. So that's, if there are some thoughts that come, I try to, like just let them go. Or what helps me, if they don't want to go, then I start singing some mantric songs, or just repeating some mantras, and that somehow pacifies the mind.
Will you do that in your head? Because I'm assuming you can't do that when you're swimming, because you're gonna start inhaling seawater.
You have to do it in your head.
Yes. That was a silly question, really, wasn't it?
And, I said singing, right?
Well, that's what I was thinking. But I was thinking, no, you must be. I mean, when I'm doing a challenge, I sing all the time, and generally it's out loud to whoever will hear me, probably sheep and cows usually. But yeah, sometimes there are people around, and I get a raised eyebrow. But yes, I'm not a swimmer, but I know how it helped me. So what was the criteria then with the Ocean 7? So you've had to cover 7 bodies of water. Is there a certain mileage or a certain amount of time in the water that you have to be there? Well, what's the criteria to say, you obviously can't just go in and paddle and then come back out again. So.
You have to swim from one side to the other. Like you have to swim from Europe. You start on dry land and finish in Africa, and no one can touch you. You can't touch the boat. They are passing you, bottles with drinks or food, but you can't touch the boat. You can, like lie on your back, but no one is allowed to touch you. And you only have your regular swimsuit. You have goggles, you have a cap, you can have earplugs, but that's all you have, and you just have to swim. There is no time limit, luckily, because sometimes it just takes much longer than you would think. Because if you stop, for example, to eat, there are currents that carry you somewhere else than you want to go. But there is the distance between the two masses of land.
Yeah. So I can imagine. So either tides or wind, if that's carrying you to a completely different end point, that the challenges around your support crew trying to establish where you're going to come in. I guess the boats in touch with the land crew, are they? How does that work?
Well, your crew is on the boat. Like for the triathlon now, yeah, like my crew on the boat were in touch with the land crew. But basically, for example, for this English Channel swim, I could see France for a really, really long time on my left side, but we were not getting any closer because the currents were kind of carrying us parallel to the shore. So then the pilot, he knows the body of water really well. He knows the currents, but he's still limited, by your speed. So he was trying to get in, as soon as possible, but it took us, quite some time to really land in France.
Wow. That sounds tough.
Especially when you see the land, and you're like, you're not getting any closer. Like every half an hour I would drink or eat, and I would see the land, but not getting any closer. So that's also where meditation helps, or, like your ability to quiet the mind. Because, that would be very easy to give up, or just say, okay, let's try another day.
I just want to say you're hardcore. You're absolutely. I'm trying to get my head around that. I mean, I guess I can swim, but I'm not a strong swimmer. But just I'm putting myself in your shoes and thinking how each of those oceans, or those stretches of water, how different each of them are going to be, and the size of the waves. Just the size of the waves for me, I would be quaking. Yeah, wow.
But it's at the same time, it's very magical because it's just, like this huge open space, and you are this tiny, you're like a speck, and the ocean is doing whatever it wants with you, like you're going up and down, and the ocean has to allow you to get through. And I just love that feeling of being totally free. I mean, of course, you have the boat next to you, but it's like this vast expanse of water, and you're just, for a while, you are a part of that.
Oh, wow. I'm almost sensing that each of the oceans then have a personality, or like a character that you have obviously identified with, and what you've taken away now it's a very, very personal experience, I'm sure. But can you describe one of those oceans to us in a way that characterizes it?
My most difficult swim, surprisingly, was the one in Hawaii. Even though I'm not so good with cold water, and Hawaii was warm, but it was the longest. It was 42 kilometers, which is a marathon. And, Hawaiian Islands are these quite tiny islands in the huge Pacific Ocean. So the sea and the ocean can really play there. That's why people go and surf there, because the swell just, accumulates through all those thousands of miles. And then when the swell hits the shore, it creates these waves where you can surf. So for me, even just to get to the start of the swim, we had to swim. I had my friend with me from New Zealand to help me kind of navigate through the waves. But you could totally see how powerful the ocean was, and the swells, like even in the middle of the channel, you were just going up and down on the swells. But the color of the ocean was beautiful. I could hear the dolphins at night. We saw whales. So it was just, and I swam through the whole night, which was like 12 hours. And I was actually really seasick for like all those 12 hours at night. But in the end, it was just like an experience you can't get anywhere else. And it totally, like at one point, because I was so seasick, I couldn't eat or drink. So I wasn't sure, I would be able to keep going, because you just don't get some endless energy from out of nowhere. But the feeling was like almost out of body feeling, but still, I knew I was in control, and I had my friend on a kayak next to me. But it was really like surreal. You are in this dark night. There is no, artificial light, no light smoke, and you're just like in this huge mess of water. You're the only person in that water for at that time, at night. And it's just so kind of mystical and magical.
I'm finding that really moving as well. I mean, just hearing you talking about that there's something, I don't want to say dreamlike, because it's far from dreamy. I'm sure, it's such hard work, but yeah, there's a definite storybook quality to that is, touches here. It's really moving.
What was really dreamlike? There was the Catalina Channel swim. Swim also starts at night, because in the afternoon there are bigger waves. And if you're lucky, you get bioluminescence in the water, which is, that sparkling light. So anytime you do a stroke, you push your hand through the water, which is all the time. You see these sparks emerging, it's like your personal fireworks. And there were good conditions on that swim. I wasn't seasick, so that was really, really beautiful. That
must have been so special. And I witnessed my first bioluminescence this summer in Wales, North Wales, and went out with a friend on a paddleboard. It was somewhere between 11:30 and midnight. I think it was about midnight, and there was a big group of us. And yes, I witnessed the fireworks. It was like jewels just dancing around in front of us. And I swam in it as well, and it was an incredible feeling. Yes,
isn't it magical, right?
Yes, but to be out in it for you, it's like your own special solo firework display. How beautiful!
Yeah. I love that.
So what sort of training and commitment do you have to put in for each of these? I think I remember you said it was about 18 months for the channel. But was that because it was the extreme ultra that you were doing with the rest of the challenge? Or, if you were just swimming, if you were swimming the ocean, does that require a different kind of training to the other challenge that you did where you were going from Dover to Prague?
For example, for my first English Channel swim, which was after the relay that we did, I knew I wanted to do the swim like next year. So I didn't even have, maybe I had like 10 months or 9 months, which isn't much. But I guess because I did, that 6-day run, I knew I could last, that I had the endurance, and I knew I had to just get used to the cold water, gain weight, and just really acclimatize myself. So, and then I think like one swim is the best training for the next swim. So I know that I never really trained as much as I trained for the first swim. But now I finished the Ocean 7 in 2018. And so it was like 3 years till this Channel Triathlon. And I wanted to do it a year ago, but I had a bike accident while, I got a road bike and I started training on the bike. So I knew that this 3-year gap between, my big challenges, that I needed to put more training in. Also, I'm not getting younger. So I realized that my body reacts more to the cold conditions. So it wasn't so easy for me to be in the cold water. Also, the swimming pools were closed. So it was this training for this swim was really challenging. Also, I was supposed to swim. I finally did the triathlon in September, but my first date was beginning of July. But then, France and Germany, which I was supposed to bike through, they kind of closed borders for people coming from UK. So I had to postpone the swim, and then the swim was postponed again because the weather wasn't cooperating. So it was I don't have any professional, training. I'm coaching myself and I just do what I feel I need to do. I also, work full-time job. So it just my theory is if I do whatever I can, then there will be some kind of cosmic energy that will, give me whatever I'm missing. But the idea is really to train as much as I can, not as much, but do what I can. And then
what sort of time frame would that take up in your week? I mean, is that daily training? And if so, how many hours a day?
It would be probably 6 days a week training. And I still like, even though the biking part was the longest, it took me 4 days. I knew I still needed to train the most for the English Channel swim, because it's cold water and you can't really, like trick that. And I knew I could probably last on the bike. So I started with, when the pools were closed and I couldn't swim outdoors because it was still winter, I had a bike, put in, like the stationary bike at home, or my bike put in the stand. And so I was biking probably 1 hour a day. And then I would, not every day, but then I would run to work, which is 6K, sometimes run back. But when the weather was like warmer for me to swim outdoors, we would go for weekends where I would just swim. And sometimes I would then bike home. But the swimming was like the biggest part. So I would do a few 6 hours on Saturday, 6 hours on Sunday of swimming. But yeah, I mean, the whole triathlon was a big miracle, I have to say. With the training, I didn't do as much training as I wanted to do for different reasons, but I guess my body kind of knows what it needs to do.
Yeah. And it's, if you recognize what your body needs as well, that's the biggest challenge faced, isn't it? As far as understanding what you need and how you can get through that. So what would you say were the biggest hurdles that you faced then in the challenge, the triathlon challenge?
Oh, like it was complicated logistically as well, because of the different postponements. Because for the triathlon, I needed a team on the boat, then I needed a team for the biking section, for the running section. And with things being postponed, like all these people were taking time off their work and they couldn't take time off, at a later time. So there was one challenge, even me being in Dover, and the pilot said, okay, your window is out of question, but can you stay a week longer? So I would have to call all these people. Can you please do it a week later? And some of them could and some of them couldn't. So it was complicated like that. And also with the pools closed, those were hurdles, that are kind of not in your power to change. That's, how the situation was.
You learn adaptability, don't you? I mean, I think you have that already.
Well, clearly, you have to learn it.
Yeah. But yes, it's, I think a lot of people have had their adventures, dreams, challenges, holidays, all sorts of things completely, thrown to the wind in the last couple of years. But yeah, you just learn to become adaptable.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously there comes a cost with all of this as well. So were you able to get sponsorship? Were you self-funding? How did you do this?
The company I work for, they support me, which is good. So they usually pay, like the biggest amount of money is for hiring the pilot and the boat. So they usually pay for that. And for different challenges, I would do, different kinds of fundraising, like people could buy a postcard that I would send from Hawaii or, a swimming lesson with me or different things. And a lot of my money went in as well.
Yes. It's when it's something that you feel so passionate about, you're willing to sell all sorts, aren't you? Or, there's so many sacrifices when you want to do something like this. But okay. So what's next? Dare I ask that? Have you got a hankering to go off and try something else now? Has this given you just that need to keep pushing yourself forward? Because you've obviously pushed yourself in what you've done with the triathlon. You've did the Ocean 7 and then you've done the Ultra-Triathlon. Extreme Triathlon, yes. So what's next?
I think just the philosophy of self-transcendence means that I will keep doing things. It doesn't have to be anything as crazy, I guess. Just, I know it is good for me to keep moving and doing stuff. Also, like having goals makes me get up and do things.
Yes, I understand that.
Because sometimes you are really, really tired and you need to sleep in, but sometimes it's just our mind or our laziness. And it teaches me to discriminate which one it is. So I definitely, like even since my first English Channel swim, I have been drawn to, there is this stage race in Sahara Desert. But, since I'm now used to the cold, I will have to wait still a little bit more till I'm done with the swimming challenges.
Is that the Marathon des Sables?
Yes.
Oh.
So I've been wanting to do that for
that
a
would
long
be
time.
exciting.
Yeah. So there are things, and as I listen, to different podcasts and meet people like similar to myself, you just get so many more things that you want to do. So there is a tiny list for me, and then I'm waiting what will speak to me, like, okay,
Yes.
now this is time to do this. This is time to do this.
Yeah, it has to feel appropriate and feel right, doesn't
it? Ready, yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's really exciting. So, is there anything? This is actually the bit where I ask all of my guests the same question. Is there anything that you can think of that you would say could be classed as your head right out moment? Something where you've stepped out of your comfort zone and done something that you really never thought you could achieve. And it doesn't necessarily have to be as big as what you've been describing. It might have been just a very small thing, but you felt you benefited from it as a result afterwards. So it's a head right out moment.
I think what was actually like a turning moment for me to head for the Ocean 7 was a swim that's not included in the Ocean 7, and it's in South Africa. It's from Robben Island, where Nelson Mandela was imprisoned. And that swim, it's cold usually. It's like colder than the English Channel, but it's shorter. It's only 7.5 kilometers. But when we came there, it was like super, super cold. It was like cold as in winter here, the rivers. And I remember like everyone was telling us, do you know it's cold? Like none of the local swimmers are swimming this weekend because it's just super cold. But, like you are in South Africa, the wind, like there was this one day where the wind was okay and we could swim. And it was like, do we not give it a try? Like we are here. But, like I didn't know if I would be okay, if I would survive. And even the pilot was, he was like, she's not, like it's really cold. She's not going to make it. I think he didn't even call the Coast Guard, that he just told them, okay, we are starting, but he didn't tell them like approximate finish time because he thought he would have to pull me out. And only towards the end, I started kind of veering off away from the boat because hypothermia can be very tricky, like you won't know that you're hypothermic. So your team has to be really vigilant on the boat. And so it was we were almost there. So then my friend swam with me the very last bit. And I think there was a defining moment for me, not only because I kind of managed the swim and we did it, but also I just felt it was showing me the way, because I didn't want to do the Ocean 7 because of the very cold North Channel. And it just felt like someone was showing me, you will be okay, you should do it. But like it took the courage, it took a courage to really just say, okay, we will do it. We don't know what the result will be, but we will do it.
Wow, yes. And that, you can apply that to so many other situations, can't you? Just once you have an experience like that.
Because if you don't try, you don't, you can't do it. If you try, you can at least say, I tried.
I don't normally ask many questions after this point, but it's just something else has come up. So how has your life been changed then by that challenge, or any of those challenges, in fact, that you've undertaken? It can be the most recent Extreme Triathlon or the Ocean 7, your 6-day run. How has your life been altered for the better?
I think it's making me a better person, because we each have a set of good qualities and not so good qualities. And when you're under these extreme conditions, these things come up, not only the good things, but also the not so good things. And you have to deal with them. You have to you have to deal with them. And I think it's like, all those challenges, but also like my meditation life, the combination of both of those things is kind of making me become a better person and move forward faster than otherwise. And even though it's not easy, I really like it.
That's so positive. And you just come across as being so, as I said before, so grounded, but so resilient as well. You have a real good handle on what you need to get you through things. I just think it's so inspiring.
I'm learning.
We are always learning, aren't we? Because we change as we get older. We change, our bodies change, our minds change as well, as particularly women, as we're going through hormonal changes, things happen. And, I am absolutely determined. I'm going through perimenopause at the moment. I'm in perimenopause. But so I am definitely in that place where I am determined to hold on to the resilience that I learned through the adventures and challenges that I've undertaken. But it's hard. Sometimes it's really hard because your mind is so strong and it really fights you. You've got these two sides of your mind arguing, battling it out. You just got to hope, that you've got the right toolkit to get you through. But and I, we generally do. Wow.
But it's perfect. Like your podcast really helps all of us, to keep inspired, because we need this extra inspiration, from other people around us or people someplace far from Czech Republic, but we can share this inspiration. And I'm very grateful to you for that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Abhejali. And I think, this is, in fact, we were talking at the beginning, weren't we, that this is special for me as well, because you are the first person that I have spoken to who hasn't been within some kind of realm of contact with me, whether it's on social media or somebody I know or somebody I've met at a festival or an event somewhere. And it only occurred to me yesterday. I thought, actually, this is a guest that I haven't had any contact with prior. And so that was quite a special moment. And then I've been trying to branch out into, the international realm outside of America, so I've got somebody who has English as a second language, and that is you too. So thank you. So you've got another first, you were the first swimmer from and the fourth woman, but to do all of these amazing things. But you're also the first international English as a second language guest on Head Right Out. There you go.
Thank you.
Well, Abhejali, this has been an absolute pleasure. I have to say, I really, really enjoyed it, and I found you to be so calming. Your voice, I could listen to you talk for ages. I'm assuming you've been on other podcasts and that you speak normally.
Mostly Czech, actually.
Czech, okay.
I've been on Chapter podcast that will come out later.
Okay, fabulous. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the listeners that I haven't asked about or I haven't given you the opportunity to say? Is there anything burning that you think, yes, I'd love to mention that?
No, I think just need to keep working on getting better, becoming a better person, and it just gives us joy. So that's all. And I'm actually working on a book. It will come out first in Czech, but it will come out in English, where I'm sharing not just, the adventures, but also like the philosophy that I have behind them, the self-transcendence and everything. So
I'm very interested in that. Keep us posted.
Let you know when
please do. Oh, that would be lovely. Where can people find you, Abhejali, to learn more about what you're doing?
So I'm on Instagram, Abhejali, very easy. Facebook, I just set up Facebook as well. And if people want to get in touch, they can through those media. And we are working on an English website. I have a Czech website. So
wonderful. Okay, well, I will put the links into the show notes so people can find you. Abhejali, thank you so much. This has been wonderful.
Thank you,
yes, I'm sure we'll catch up again. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Wow. Abhejali just delivers her message so beautifully. She shares passionately and with such conviction and belief about what she does and her commitment to her sport. And I have to say, I'm really looking forward to her book when it comes out in English, obviously. I don't know, I really understand the way she applies her methods of commitment and self-talk to everyday life. I can see how doing a challenge, as she has done, particularly with the Ocean 7 and her extreme triathlon from Dover to Prague, I can really see how that mindset can be applied to daily life. And this is why I would just encourage everybody to have a go at trying something difficult. Push yourself out of your comfort zone. Be uncomfortable. Take a risk. Keep safe, but take a risk. Do something that scares you, because you can then put that into your everyday life and benefit from it. Okay, well, I have an amazing Head Right Out moment to share with you today. And this is from a guy who actually is one of my neighbours. His name is Ian. And Ian, we've been chatting, for the last 18 months, however long it is that we've lived next to one another. And to me, he is the epitome of somebody who has headed out of their comfort zone. You have to hear this. Here's his story. We moved to Wales just after I'd turned 40. During my 30s, I travelled a lot with work, which took its toll both on my body and mental health. By the time we moved to Wales, I'd become over 16 stone in weight. And so being short, this led to a 40-inch waist as well. Not long after we moved, I decided I didn't want to spend the rest of my life feeling this overweight. So I began to lose the weight with a change of diet and exercise. First of all, walking, and then running. Then my partner said to me, well, you always used to like bikes. Why don't you get one again? I think he's probably regretting that now. I cycled more and more, and eventually stumbled my way into time trialing, where you race starting 1 minute apart over set courses, and the quickest times win. I entered my first events in 2019, and then COVID interrupted things. So this year, that was 2021, when it opened up again, off I went to race and entered the events to qualify for the best British all-rounder competition. This takes your average speed in 50-mile, 100-mile and 12-hour events, and then averages these. While I'll never be near the winning spots, I was chuffed to bits to average 23 miles per hour. Anyone averaging more than 22 miles per hour gets a certificate of having met the standard. And I was 37th out of the 47 who were above 22 miles per hour. It's great to have finally found a sport I love doing, having realised it doesn't matter what it is or that I'll never win, but just the fact that I love doing it. And I know how much Ian loves doing this, because at any given opportunity throughout the week and at weekends and on bank holidays, he will be taking his bike out to go for a cycle. And I'll very often say to him, how far today then, Ian? And he'd say, oh, I don't know, maybe 50k, 80k, not sure. I'm just going, where are you going, Ian? Oh, don't know, just going to follow my nose, see where the bike takes me. And what a wonderful way to appreciate being outdoors, appreciate moving your body, and just to be that free spirit. And I'm going to pop in the show notes 3 photographs. One is of Ian's certificate from the British Championships that he talks about, the best British all-rounder competition. So big congratulations to Ian for achieving that. And the other 2 photographs, one is of Ian back before he started this journey, and he's standing on the back of a boat, not a narrow boat, I should add, but a seafaring boat. And I have to say, I wouldn't recognize him. And then the other photograph is a professional photograph taken whilst he's in mid-race, mid-competition. And yeah, he is clearly very focused and he's got his eye on where he's getting to and what he needs to do. You hear those dogs. I don't know what's going on out there, but they're very chatty. So thank you so much to Ian for taking the time to share your Head Right Out moment with us. I know how difficult this must have been to push yourself beyond what you thought was possible. But the key here is you did it. And you have continued to do it. You've continued to maintain this positive, active lifestyle. So thank you. I really appreciate you sharing it. Okay, right. Well, next week we have Siobhan Daniels coming to chat to me. This is going to be an amazing conversation. Siobhan, for those of you who haven't heard her in the media recently, she has taken off in a motorhome a couple of years ago for her retirement. And she is all about promoting pro-aging. And it's such a fun conversation and so inspiring, so positive. So I think you're going to love that. Do come back and listen. My final message to you then is to please follow, rate and review, if possible, Head Right Out. You can also now rate all of your favourite podcasts that you listen to on Spotify. So if you use Spotify, please go to the main page for the show and give Head Right Out a 5-star rating. That would be really, really appreciated. Thank you. Sadly, you still can't leave a review, which cancels out so many Android users, but there's nothing we can do about that. But if you do have an iPhone, please consider taking a few moments to review the podcast if you feel like you've gained something from the show, if you enjoy it. Wishing you all a start to 2022 that is full of hope, health, and above all, happiness. Looking forward to seeing you again next week, and Head Right Out hugs to you all. Mwah.